What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say NBA 2K16 and NBA 2K17? I'm assuming you think of a very good basketball game with both fluidity, creativity, and really just overwhelming great gameplay. You don't really tend to think of a game that's in a massive city that really isn't even able to function, has high choppiness, lag, and poor servers and game development. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. What happened between NBA 2K16 and 17 that made it so good, and why even from 18 till now, with 21 next gen officially being out, does the game feel lackluster and a disappointment? This is part 1 of 2. The good stuff. But before I get into it, make sure to go down below, like and subscribe so you do not miss out on the part 2 to this video, and let's get straight to it. NBA 2K17 brought us a whole new way to make your build with a brand new archetype build system never before seen to NBA 2K. This was a much needed shakeup from NBA 2K15's type with the inside and outside players, and really brought a whole new generation to NBA 2K. Whether you were a dribble head and you were making playmakers, whether you wanted to dunk on everybody with a slasher, or pull up from half with your 6'2 sharpshooter, you could really specialize and decide what you wanted to do inside of 2K17. With new events constantly on the horizon like Park After Dark, Rival Days, and the old stage and the old ante-up, the game just flowed a lot smoother than I currently feel. Even though it was even broken up more from a technical standpoint, the game just felt more smooth. The animations felt more realistic. There wasn't just constant Curry spamming. There wasn't overpowered builds like the two-way slashing playmaker or the two-way shot creator this year in next gen. There was just, everybody kind of had to fit a role, and therefore it wasn't just easier to play. I also found it was more fun because every team would have their weaknesses, so if you could just work around and find a way to play through those weaknesses, you could be very good in these games. Every dribblehead since NBA 2K16 remembers watching their first Pretty Boy Fredo highlight reel. All the YouTubers that blew up over this time. Pretty Boy Fredo, Hank the Tank, Agent, Troydan, the list goes on and on and on. There's a reason why these two games are considered the best games that 2K has ever delivered and probably ever will deliver again. Another key underrated factor that I feel like plays a large part in 2K being an enjoyable game to play has also been the music in the soundtracks. In 2K16 and 17, those two games are again still considered the two best soundtracks in 2K history, with newer 2Ks including popular songs by artists like Travis Scott, Jack Harlow, and etc. The older 2Ks tended to have a different approach to picking their songs, and picking more indie artists and less popular artists. Obviously they still had their songs from rappers such as Drake, Jay-Z, but with an overall more creative and more indie approach to the music, you often found yourself bopping your head and enjoying songs that you would never just regularly listen to, whether just on the radio or on Spotify, etc. 16 and 17 also, coincidence, also had considered the best My Career stories of all the 2Ks in recent memory. My personal favorite being 2K17, being with college and having obviously Michael B. Jordan and the whole Orange Juice tandem really just went so hard. The cutscenes, even while you're in the NBA, the story really never stopped. All the sponsorships, all the everything. Nowadays, it's just so cut and dry. Yeah, they brought back the high school and college, but I mean, in 20 you went to a fictional college, and in 19 you played in China, and they were really kind of boring and kind of uninteresting. I mean, the approach that 2K decided to continue with after they saw the success of 16 with 17, I really think they also improved on it and really made it an enjoyable experience. Another major thing that personally made this game very enjoyable for me was the badge grind. Grinding badges is different back then compared to how it is now. How it is now is you can really do whatever of a category you want. Like if you want range extender, you can shoot corner threes all day and still get the badge Hall of Fame. But in 2K17, it wasn't so much like that. If you wanted to get your ankle breakers, you'd have to double move to score. You wanted catch and shoot. Coincidence, you had to catch and shoot. Limitless, shoot limitless, and so on. So I found where these 2Ks are more repetitively doing the same thing to get the same shots over and over and over again. In 2K17, you had a diverse way to get all your badges up to Hall of Fame, having to obviously do a certain amount of that thing to unlock the badge, and then buying it to gold, and then having to again do 4 times the original thing to get it Hall of Fame. Another thing that transcended with 2K17 into the newer 2Ks is they did add a new way to get hot and just even take over the game even more, that being the grand badge. Now trust me, if you played 2K17 like that, you remember unlocking your first grand badge. Everybody does. But now in the new 2Ks, while still having that similar system, but adding these new dual takeovers and you just having them off rip, I feel like it really gets rid of the grind and the feeling of achievement that you got when unlocking the grand badge, which obviously was one of the coolest things that personally I think 2K has ever done. I think the nostalgia part still does play a major factor in why we think of 2K and 17 in this way, but even still, personally at the time, I thought that they were very good games, and I know many other people knew that they were goated games. So when we got 2K18 as a game, it was highly disappointing, and a lot of people were highly frustrated because it finally felt like 2K was on the right path. They were finally listening to the community, obviously trying out these neighborhoods and these one park systems clearly didn't work, which is why I'm glad that back on next gen now, they've now gone back to having the multiple parks and finally bringing back affiliations. There was absolutely no reason they should have taken affiliations out of the game. Everybody loved them, everybody participated in them, everybody loved Rival Days, everybody loved everything about it. But for some reason 2K just decided to keep on fixing and twisting and messing things up, and it really threw off the balance and the positivity of the game. Another major thing was just how they balanced the gameplay between that arcadey versus realistic simulation style. Obviously in the park sometimes it would get a little bit out of hand when some dribble god would come by and just absolutely take over the game, but with how 2K19 was, with 7-footers dribbling, shooting over everybody, absolutely making everything, 2K21 on current gen not being able to make anything unless you have an 83-pointer with all your badges, or with 2K20 you only needing a 69 overall 3-pointer and you could be an absolute demigod with the two-way slashing playmaker. It really just made the game a little bit too arcadey or just a little bit too realistic to be enjoyed by the casual player. I wanted to keep this good part pretty short and brief, as I still have to go and record the bad for 2K, which is obviously going to be extremely long because we all know how the past 4 2Ks recently have been. Obviously 19 not that bad, 20 pretty okay, but the last 2 in 18 and 21 being absolute garbage. But that's gonna do it for this one. Make sure to go down below, tell me what is your favorite 2K, or what did you like about 2K16 and 17. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and it's been your boy Horsey. We oughta